Okay, we've been let in on a little bit of a secret that's been cooking at in Austin, Texas for a while. Back in 2012, a studio was set up, BattleCry Studios, and now we find out that it's also the name of a game. We're here with Lucas. Could you just tell us, like, when you started the studio, when you set things up, what were your sort of vision for this project? What did you want to create?
So for us, it was important to create something distinct. We were looking out there what games were on the market and how we could do something that had never been seen before.
So what came first, the visuals or the setting, or was it sort of the mechanics and the sort of the team-based gameplay here that you want to do?
Honestly, it all kind of came together more or less at the same time. Like each little bit sort of fed into the other. We just have a tremendous team at BattleCry with Rich Vogel, Victor Antonov, our art director Art Collins. We have a fantastic concept artist Francisco Velasco, and so with our design team and our art team and our engineering team, we started working on the game, and the mechanics just really flowed well together. So as the game design developed, the art developed with it, and it just kind of came together.
So in a brief sort of way, could you explain what is BattleCry and what can people expect?
Right, so BattleCry is actually a new type of multiplayer experience. It's a team action combat game. It's a 32-player game that takes a lot of cues from the single-player action combat that you've seen before, but brings that into the multiplayer space. So it's a really fast, highly animation-driven melee and range combat game.
Extremely intense and frenetic. The pace of it's just unlike anything I've played in terms of like a melee-based thing. Was that important to you, that create that sort of sense of intensity?
Absolutely. So with action games, I mean, that's a lot of fun of them. You're moving through, cutting things down, and we wanted to capture that same feeling for the multiplayer space.
It gets, but we've played the game here today, team deathmatch. Sort of straightforward rules, so everyone could get in on it. But sort of, what kind of other things can we expect to see from it? What kind of modes and
So we'll be bringing a host of new modes to the game. We're being a little kind of quiet about them now as we develop them. We'll definitely be showing them off in the future. For several of the modes, I mean, it'll be similar to what you've seen in other competitive products, although we are deep in the middle of a custom game mode that's unique to the BattleCry experience.
And will the setting lend itself to what kind of modes we can expect as well? Because it is kind of a different sort of warfare that's going on here. It's no gunpowder. It's a lot more visceral. Will that sort of blend into what people are playing as well?
Absolutely. With the entire game, sort of the design has helped inspire the art has helped inspire the game. So, we're a close-knit team that works really well together. So anytime we develop our modes as we play test, which we do every day at the studio, we get feedback from the team, the kind of things they want to see. So, we constantly have a lot of cool ideas. And since everybody's really bought into the universe at the studio, a lot of those ideas do kind of filled into the world we're creating and the technology we're creating.
Right, so we've got 5 classes to play around with. We only got to play with 3 once. That sort of, you could probably fit them into sort of, there's one that's a little bit like a thief, stealthy. There's one that's, tank. And there's one that's ranged. There's also 2 other classes. How does these balance out, and sort of what kind of design has gone into designing them? And is it sort of a rock, paper, scissors system, or how did you go about that?
Absolutely. So it's rock, paper, scissors is definitely at the base of it, but we plan on adding warriors for the lifetime of BattleCry. So that'll be a roster that constantly evolves with the game. So anytime we want to bring in a new warrior, we usually sit down with the paper design, figure out what's the story for this new warrior. How do we want them to act on the battlefield? We're a highly iterative studio. Like I said, we play test daily. So the first thing is get something into the game and see how we like it. And a lot of times the paper design design holds up, sometimes it doesn't, and a lot of times just through playing these different warriors, we really learn like this was the original idea, but we kind of shift and adapt it, and we end up with a lot stronger of a warrior through that development process.
And I guess the balance is also not just down to the individual player, but actually to the team, so that you can maintain a balance between the two teams, or perhaps even three teams, if that's in the plans as well.
That's definitely, I mean, we will feature 3 factions with the game, and those thoughts have definitely crossed our minds. So in the future, we probably we'll definitely be exploring the sort of the asymmetrical side of that gameplay and what we can offer there.
And if you take a look at the art here, we see one of the, I believe it's an enforcer.
Yes, this is the Cossack Enforcer.
The Cossack Enforcer, and the Cossacks and the Royal Marines, that's the 2 factions. Can you tell us a little bit about these factions and what their background story is?
Absolutely. So, for BattleCry, we envision sort of a different timeline. It's the start of the 20th century, but, a world war hundreds of years ahead of its time has sort of banned gunpowder and created these war zones. So, we wanted to pick 2 factions that really kind of spoke to the European theater and just that time and place in the world.
And will the factions have specific, because I understand it's not exactly, the classes aren't exactly the same in the different factions. How do you go about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of look at the personalities of the factions, how we want them to stand out. So for our Royal Marines, we're looking at sort of the majesty and discipline of the British Empire, and for the Cossacks, we really hone into their courage and their ferocity, and we try to make those different emotions play out in our warriors and how we build them and how we arm them, and just kind of their animation sets, how they attack and move in the game.
So obviously this is a free-to-play game, and I cannot help but ask a little bit how you think about sort of monetizing it, and sort of will there be an economy, so on and so forth. What kind of things are you building there?
So with Bethesda, the challenge was they do AAA high quality games. That's absolutely what we were committed to from the start. So we've taken a very games first mentality. We want players to have this game. We want players to have a ton of fun with this game. So things like modes in our war zones, they're always there. Players will always be able to have full access to them. So with us, we've kind of focused on how do you make your character look unique. That's a lot of the options that we'll be offering, for players to purchase with BattleCry is different skins, armor, the looks of their weapons, and basically just ways to make them look unique and stand out on the battlefield.
But I imagine there will be a lot of ways to upgrade your warrior as well. How do you sort of tier that so that someone who's sort of perhaps sped on their progress doesn't sort of have an unfair advantage?
Yeah, so that's where our matchmaking system comes in. We're setting up the matchmaking for warriors so that you're matched with people that have played the same amount as you, and with people that are tiered similar to you.
All right. So that sounds good, because you obviously want to avoid any sort of pay to win.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're announcing this now. You've been working on it for a little bit more than a year and a half, maybe.
Yep.
Beta in 2015. What's the road ahead looking like for you guys, and where are you what kind of things can people expect from the beta?
So with the beta, we'll be introducing those 5 warriors that we were talking about. We'll also be constantly evolving, like I said, our warrior roster. That's something that's going to grow. The war zones that are available, the game modes, those are all something that just kind of a given that we're going to expand those with the game. We also have a number of features that we're not talking about yet, but we'll definitely be revealing with the, as we get through the beta and move in towards launch. And then, obviously, community is a huge issue for us. Our community is a huge opportunity for us. So we want to explore what the community thinks about the game, what they're interested in, and that's going to drive a lot of what we do as we launch the game.
You speaking of the community, and there's a lot of sort of little things you can do after a match completes, and sort of that highlights that sort of thing. You want to sort of bring in the community and sort of perhaps put highlight on the players, not just give you a list of who's been most successful or not, but actually sort of try and give a little bit of personality to that.
Yeah, so when you end a combat match in BattleCry, you have a moment to run around, congratulate the people that have fought well in the game. Any of the people that are at the top of the leaderboards are marked, so you can go up and salute them. Newspapers fly onto the screen, kind of showing off the warriors that did really well, and you can salute them and give them medals, and basically just celebrate everyone on a job well done.
So, what's the significance of this, of saluting and giving medals? Is there something that sort of will carry on persistently, or will the player get bonuses from it, or what's?
As you get medals and salutes, you're earning iron, which you can use to help upgrade your character. But additionally, this was just a really good moment for us to kind of end a match. Like, you end on a positive beat, you get to congratulate everyone. So really, that was the inspiration for the feature.
And something that you're not really talking a lot about yet is the meta game. But obviously, you got 3 factions. They're vying for control here. There's got to be some sort of map, something like that. What's the significance of the meta game?
Well, absolutely. We wanted players, to have something to do. We wanted a meaning for that session. You're coming in, you may play for 20 minutes, you may play for an hour, but we wanted you to have a meaningful goal in that time. So the war effort is basically how we do this. And we'll be revealing a lot more details about that in the future. But basically, you're able to jump in with friends, your guild, your faction, however you want to play and participate in this war effort. And you're rewarded based on your participation and the success of your faction.
So it's coming out on PC. Is it Mac as well?
PC is the only thing we've announced so far.
All right. It feels very much like a console game that could be on console. Is that something you're looking at all?
The game definitely plays very well with a controller, and we are looking at all of our options. But so far, we're only announcing for PC.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you.